Gauteng is quickly catching up to the Western Cape in terms of COVID-19 infections. The province has now recorded over 63,000 cases. The debate now is, should stricter lockdown regulations be imposed? ENCA's Kaelihle Khumalo is getting the views of political parties and joins us now for an update on that. And so, Kaya, towards the end of last week, we started hearing talk of the Gauteng provincial government possibly making the case to the National Command Council at a national level for possible reintroduction of some stricter restrictions. But the sort of walking away from that position this morning, certainly if you believe what the spokesperson of the Gauteng provincial government has to say, Thabo Masebe. What's the situation that you've been getting from the parties and political party leaders that you've been talking to?
Well, that's right, Tilasiza. So for authorities, I mean, it's a balancing act. So they have to make sure that also they prioritize the economy, but also trying to make sure that the country is able to deal with COVID-19. And this is the country's economic hub. So if you go back to the very lockdown that we saw during the course of the couple of months or so, then it's going to be very tough. So now under level 3, we've seen the easing of so many measures. So many grades today went back to school. So it's quite a very tough job. But joining us now is Mr. Jacob Kawe. He's the provincial secretary of the ANC here in Gauteng. So, Mr. Kawe, so obviously it's a conundrum for the government to make sure that they deal with COVID-19. But what's the governing party's perspective? Should we go back to the lockdown?
We are a bit worried about the spread of the virus, and we are also worried about the seemingly a behavior of people not caring about others. And we have asked many people, including other NGOs and government, to start a conversation about what else can we do to restrict and prevent the spread. So our worry is basically about saving lives and preventing the spread. So we're saying to government of the province, look at options of reducing interactions, of reducing events, of reducing managing times, any other measure without necessarily referring to a specific level of the lockdown. Just look at the province, maintain the economic activities, but primarily means that can save lives, and that's the biggest worry of the ANC in the province.
And obviously it is a risk-adjusted approach. So would you recommend perhaps a differentiated approach where, for example, they target more hotspots as opposed to closing the province?
Look, you must do both. Firstly, there must be a sense that Gauteng as a whole is worried about the spread, and that Gauteng as a geographic space needs to make means to prevent. And then secondly, you can have other measures for specific hotspots. In metros, you may need a different approach in Ekurhuleni, Germiston, in Johannesburg, Sandton and Rosebank, in Pretoria, Pretoria Central and Centurion. But broadly start with the province, the boundaries of the province, rethink about access in and out of our province, and then look at the hotspots.
And I mean, what would be your take? Because we've had the president saying we have so many tools that you can use in terms of dealing with this issue, for example, but also calling on all the provinces to make sure that they do have sufficient beds, facilities that are required.
No, the province, so far we are happy with government's report on the preparation for increasing of beds, availability of what you call centers for care, the converting of Nasrec as an example into a COVID hospital. So we are quite happy, but we are worried that if numbers grow faster than the ability to respond, we're going to have a crisis in our province, and we really don't want to be in a crisis. The other measures the president spoke about, and we want to emphasize those, it's my behavior and your behavior. It's individuals, because after all, People who behave like there's nothing, people who behave like it's fine, right, they actually need to come to their senses, and we want to plead with them. And that's why we're happy that government went to consult with various stakeholders, religious leaders, church leaders, just to spread the gospel that it is individual behaviors that becomes a bigger problem in this challenge.
All right, Mr. Kawa, thank you so much, sir, for your time. So that's the ANC Provincial Secretary here in Gauteng. Mr. Kawa really alluding to the fact that they are pretty satisfied with the measures that have been put aside. But of course, the preoccupation for the government should be making sure that they do have sufficient measures in making sure that we're able to deal with this pandemic.
From Ruth First House here in Johannesburg, that's ENCA's Kylie Kumalo with an update there on the perspective of the ANC in as far as the measures to be taken to curb the spread of COVID-19 in Gauteng.